All right, welcome to some notes about using charcoal. We're going to start off with learning about the different kinds of charcoal, and then do a couple little practices so that you understand how to work it a little better and it feels good in your hands. Now you're used to working with pencils like like a regular HB pencil, and you guys have done some shading with that and stuff. And then we've gotten to like fancier pencils with B's and 6B's and HB's and stuff like that. And typically the B, the way we like to think of it in the art world, it stands for butter, and butter is very spreadable. So the higher the B on the pencil, the more that you can smudge it. Okay, so this is similar to charcoal. But the thing with pencils is that they tend to look more gray, and what's really great about charcoal is that it looks really black and dramatic, so you can get really great contrast if you use charcoal. Now, I'm going to start with a very simple type of charcoal, which is called vine charcoal, and apparently vine charcoal is made from grapevines, and I guess they just burn them and there becomes this light charcoal, and it's very, very brittle, and you do however much you need. You just break it off into pieces and use it as you need it. And it's very light. It's actually, there's a lot of air in there, so when it comes to using this charcoal, it's very, very smudgy and very, very fickle, basically. Typically artists use vine charcoal when they're drawing onto a canvas before they paint it, because it erases so easily. And basically you're drawing onto your canvas, you start painting it in, and as you're painting, the brush strokes just like let it melt away and it doesn't even affect the paint. So that's vine charcoal. Then we have compressed charcoal, and today I just have compressed charcoal in as pencils, and you'll see them as chunks as well. And compressed charcoal doesn't erase as easily, which is nice. And there's different levels of it. We have hard and medium and soft. You'll see with hard, okay, there we go. We can already see how much more black charcoal is compared to pencil. Smudges a little bit. Okay, so that's hard. Then we have medium, which means it's gonna smudge a little more. See that? Okay. And then the softer the charcoal gets, means that it's going to be a little bit more loose and smudgeable, but it's also going to kind of come out more black, which is cool. Now, I just realized that my charcoal is broken, so I'm going to sharpen mine. And what's important to remember is that you never sharpen these in an electric sharpener. Just use a little hand sharpener, and you should be good. Okay. I'm not surprised this happened, because charcoal is very easily breakable. Oy, yay, yay. Oh, you're killing me. I'm recording. Come on, please. Alright, it's kind of in there. Alright, there we go. Okay, and you'll see much more smudgeable, okay? So there are different types of charcoal, and there's actually one more, which is white charcoal, but you mostly use that on black paper because it doesn't show up that well. So, here, I have a little bit of colored paper. There you go. So it's kind of like really nice, smooth chalk almost. And charcoal is kind of like chalky. Now, to erase charcoal, a good thing to use is a kneaded eraser, because it can lightly pick up, okay, what you don't want there. And you could still like swipe with it too. And then it gets dirty. And that's the thing about using a kneaded eraser. You just knead it until it looks kind of clean again, and then you can come in and erase more. Okay. Notice how much more easily the looser vine charcoal erases than the compressed charcoal. So lots of things to remember. So please do not play around with the kneaded erasers too much, because basically they even pick up, they're so sticky that they pick up the dirt off your hands. And the more and more dirt and charcoal and pencil it picks up, the faster it becomes exhausted, and then you can't use it. So just be careful with it. So let's do some value scales over here. I think I'm just going to use my medium compressed charcoal, and it's just like drawing with a regular pencil, and even with pens and colored pencils and oil pastels and everything. It really comes down to controlling your pressure on your charcoal. So we'll just do these boxes first, and we'll leave the first one as just white, because if you want something to be super light on a paper that you're drawing, you kind of have to respect the innocence of the paper and leave a part white if you want it to appear more white. I'll show you later with this. I'm using that white charcoal. Okay, so I'm just, every box I'm doing, I put a little bit more pressure. Something I do when I want to control my pressure, if I don't want to push on something too hard, is I'll actually hold the pencil from the back, and it helps me not push so hard, because typically we write and we put a lot of pressure as we're writing, but drawing is very different. Okay, so we put a little bit more pressures into this box here. All right, and then I need to get darker and darker, so that means more and more pressure, so then I choke up on my pencil. I put a little more pressure on this one, go back and forth. Okay, one more time. Okay, and also notice, like, the more layers I put, the darker it gets, and it's also just covering up more of the paper, and I'm putting more pressure. There we go. Okay, easy enough. Now I'm going to do, instead of going from light to dark, I'm going to do kind of a gradient here, and I'm going to go dark to light this time. Typically when you're working with charcoal, you want to work from left to right, because what happens if I want to go from right to left, watch this, boom, okay, that's me working from right to left, and then I go, oh, now I want to work over here, and now I'm making a mess. So something that you can do to protect yourself is you can keep another extra paper around while you're coloring, and then that'll protect your drawing. Or just remember also to try and work left to right and to rotate your page as you're going so that you don't make messes. I've done that way too many times. But this time I am going to go from right to left, because I want to show you something about going from darker to lighter. Okay. When you go to do a gradient like this and you want to maybe blend this out, because charcoal is so loose and chalky, if I want to come in with my finger and smudge, I can pull a good amount of that shading over to the side just on my own with my finger. Okay, so I stopped right there, but I was able to pull out like a good amount more of shading as I went to the right. And if this had been the soft charcoal, oh man, I would have even gotten it to smudge more. And I can come in. Woo. Okay, there we go. Now, it's okay to use your finger to smudge. I prefer not to, because our fingers, we touch stuff all day long, and our fingers have oils on them, and a lot of times what happens is we get not just the charcoal on the page that we're smudging, but the dirt from our fingers gets into it as well. So like, I don't know about you, but I used to really love eating hot Cheetos, and I wouldn't want to accidentally get some hot Cheeto dust into my drawing, or just it'll start to look yellow or brown. And that's not what I want. I don't want people to see my dirty fingers. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shade in this this form right here. Just make it into a classic sphere. And you know, I'm going to have my highlight. I might have my light coming from this area. So my highlight's going to be over here. And you're probably thinking, oh, you know, your highlight, you can just go in with a white charcoal. But thing is, if I were to shade in all of my sphere and then try and go back and put a highlight, see, it just kind of turns the highlight gray, layering the white charcoal on top of the black charcoal. So if I really want a pure highlight, I really want to leave that highlight spot just kind of blank and just keep the white of the paper for my highlight. But this is just like anything else. This is just like working with pencils, except it's a little more smudgy and a lot more black. Okay. And I would rotate my page in my sketchbook more, but my camera is off to the left right here, and if I do that, then I might knock my camera over. So I'm just going to do my best to rotate my hand. And this time I'm using the hard compressed charcoal. And as you can see, it's actually quite similar to pencil. It's quite liney. It's not as smudgeable, but that's okay. Show you one more thing we could do for smudging. Okay. Alright, I'm going to leave it right there, and then I'm going to start to smudge. And this time I'm actually going to use my blending stump, because this is a perfectly good way of smudging my charcoal without using my dirty fingers. So something that you have to be aware of while you're using charcoal is just compensating for its smudgeability. Okay, so you might have looked at the charcoal before and go, hey, that's so liney, oh, that's gross, you know, it's not going to create a smooth round form, but it's so smudgeable that it's fine. And please notice that I also initially drew my sphere in with just a regular pencil. It's okay to still use pencil while you're also using charcoal. I think I prefer that way because I trust pencils a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to come in and get my core of the shadow in there. Okay, and I might have gone a little too far with my smudging, so if I want to take some of that off, get back into that highlight, I can just pick up some of my charcoal with my kneaded eraser. There we go. Alright, if I didn't have enough of reflected light along the edge, I can come in and pick up some of that as well, okay? And I'll just do a little bit of a cast shadow here. There we go. And again, like, that cast shadow really pulls out, you know, like, so I have to compensate for the smudgeability, so I just put a little bit of charcoal down and see how much I can smudge away. See, it's pulling out that shadow further. So you just have to learn how to kind of compensate. Hopefully in another video I'll show you how to spray this down so that it stays nice and solid the way you want it. If I were to close my sketchbook now, okay, I might mess up my page. Oh, it's hard to see. There we go, I accidentally smudged it, okay, and it comes off on other papers. So there's something called fixative that we can use, and I've even tried using hairspray, and it worked the other day, which is cool. But this is, yeah, this is it. I'll show you that in another video, and hopefully this went well for you.